What's up, everybody that's watching tonight? Thanks for coming on. My name is Dustin. I have my wife on the other end as well, Jennifer. And then I have Pyrene up in the top right corner. Tonight's guest is as you all know, is Lizzie from Lunar Paranormal. We're going to bring her on and we're going to talk about whatever she wants to talk about tonight. So if you guys have any kind of questions that pertain to either the metaphysical side or the paranormal side, you can either ask any one of us and we can go ahead and move on forward with that. Once again, thank you for watching the Darkest Hour podcast. Let's go ahead and bring Lizzie in and say hello. There you are. Hi, Lizzie.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Thanks for having me.
Show.
I appreciate it. This is so cool. I've never been on something like this before, so I appreciate it. Thank you for thinking of me and bringing me on here.
Well, no problem. We met actually because of Pyrene up in the top right. Pyrene is the one that introduced me. And again, yeah, top right up there, wherever the bottom left corner. Again, the bottom right on me is my wife, Jennifer. The top right is Pyrene. Of course, we got Lizzie. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Lizzie. What brought you to where you are today in the paranormal or metaphysical realm, so to speak?
So this might be a repeat for some because I do have a podcast, Lunar Paranormal's podcast. You guys can find me on Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram under Lunar Paranormal. I do go very extensive into my podcast on how all of this started for me. I knew that there was something different about me when I was little. You know, sometimes I'd watch the TV and I would just look at it and I would watch famous people or famous actors and I'd be like, that's me, something special about me. I know I'm going to be like famous one day. There's just something different about me. I just know it. And it really wasn't fame. And that's not what I was feeling, but something deep inside of me told me I was just different than everybody. Could never understand it, never knew why. You know, we'll kind of get through the gruesome stuff, but I started showing my ability around 10, 11 years old. My father was diagnosed with cancer back in 2000. He passed in 2001. But before he passed, about a week before he passed, I remember sitting in the car with my mom. I was in the passenger seat. I was just staring out the window, just kind of staring at shops going by. And I had this very vivid image of seeing my dad in a casket in a church. Like the casket was gold and like what he was wearing and like all the people and like the atmosphere. I remember just shaking myself out of it. I was like, why am I thinking this? This is an awful thought. Like, stop it. You know, it was really weird. Fast forward to when it was my dad's funeral, and you know, we were walking into the church. I'd never been to this church before. You know, I was 9 or 10. I don't really go to very many churches at that age. Right. And I remember as we walk in the doors, it's that vision that I had. The same casket. Like, I didn't know what my mom picked for my dad. I was too young. Like, that's, you know, and it was like everything was there. Like the people, the atmosphere, like everything was just all the same. And I like went completely white. And I remember like walking up to him and paying my respects. And I turned to my mom and I said, I can't do this. Like, I need to go home, please. And she goes, okay. And, you know, my mom respected that. And I went home. I actually thought I killed my dad because of this wow. image that I had like in my mind as a 9-year-old. I was like, I thought this and it happened. Like, oh no, you know, like this is awful. Like I did something horrible to my dad, you know? And for the longest time, I just couldn't. But you know, obviously I didn't, you know, as time went on, my family was always like, why didn't you say anything to us? Why didn't you tell us about this? I said, how could I go to my mom and tell her I killed your husband? Like,
I was gonna ask you, how did your parents take it whenever you tried to talk to them about something like this?
So when I was younger, our house was haunted that we lived in, the one that my dad lived in, my mom, me. I have a twin sister, so I'm already a very supernatural being. I'm a doppelganger to begin with, you know. Her and I have shared dreams being twins. Like I've always had weird things happen and I've always just felt different. So I guess when I was a kid, if a spoon wasn't flying off the counter or something crazy wasn't happening, it didn't feel normal. So growing up in a haunted house was pretty normal. Obviously, my parents believed in that stuff. My mom, from a Mexican family, were Mexican Catholics. My dad was an atheist, actually. He didn't believe, but he started to believe more when he got through his life because of all the stuff he saw and things like that. It's just, you guys know, being in the paranormal, it's just like you see things you can't explain, and it's regardless of religion or whatever it is, obviously there's no way to explain it other than it's the paranormal.
even to this day, even I've been doing this since the '80s, and even to this day, there's still some places and things that I've seen that have left me like still questioning.
Yeah, you can't explain it. So growing up in haunted houses, obviously my mother and my father before we were born. Hi Robert, how's it going? Before we were born, they lived in a haunted house with an older lady, with my older sister. So like, my dad and my mom are very used to it. So,
Hmm.
anyway, but growing up in haunted houses and all that stuff, but I didn't know I was haunted myself. I didn't know that there was something about me. But it's being a child and sleeping. I would literally sleep with my head covered at night and leave just enough room so that I could get fresh air. Like I was so scared of the dark because I could feel things standing on the side of my bed.
Watching you, right?
I could feel something standing over me when I was a kid, and I would do random things like, you guys know those old TVs that had the VCRs already built
Yeah,
into them and that
yeah,
sound it makes
hmm,
when it turns on, that
yeah.
little whirl sound. I remember sleeping one night and my sister's room was like right across the hall and we always left our door open so we could talk to each other like this and still hear each other. So I had a vision that was going to turn on and my head was already covered. I was trying to sleep and it turned on. And my sister's like, "Did your TV just turn on?" And I was like, "Yeah, did you hear that?" She goes, "Yeah, why did it do that?" I was like, "I don't know, but I just thought it and it happened." She goes, "Wait, what?" And I was like, "Nothing." Like I didn't even really tell my twin sister.
Oh, I didn't know
So
you had a twin.
yeah, I just said I was a twin sister. I'm a doppelganger.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, my bad.
I yeah, I have an identical twin sister. I was born as a supernatural being to begin with. So
Nice.
yeah, so she also has abilities too, but she doesn't really hone in on them like me. She doesn't really want to. She kind of wants to stay away from the paranormal. So growing up, we had to get rid of the house after my
Mm,
dad passed away. Obviously, not having the extra income for my mother, we have a special needs sister. She's needing to take care of two teenage daughters, a teenage special needs daughter. Like, we need to downsize, save money. My poor mother. My mother was a police officer. Obviously, police officers back then didn't make good money. So we had to downsize. And I remember living on the Oregon coast. And if you guys don't know a lot about the Oregon coast, it's very
yeah,
haunted. The
yeah.
Oregon coast is extremely haunted. A lot of Native
Hot spot.
American
Yeah.
territories, and it's beautiful. So we were looking at places like Astoria and like Newport, like all these really good places. And I remember I was with the realtor and my mom, and I was probably around like 12, going on 13 at this time. And about a year after my dad passed, we realized we had to downsize. And I remember going up to the houses, and I remember one of them, I looked at the door and I stopped in the threshold and I looked at my mom and my mom looked at me and I was like, "I'm not going in there." She's like, "What?" I was like, "Something's wrong. Like, I'm not going in there." And my mom was just like, "Okay." She goes, "Never mind, realtor. We're not going to look at this one." My mom never questioned it, which was always weird for me. I never understood why, but I just always could feel the energies and things were happening, but I didn't question it either. I just realized like something's wrong about that house. I don't like the feeling. Let's leave.
Is
And my
that the
mom,
point? I would assume is that the point that you didn't know what the terminology was for it at that age, but that was probably the point that you found out you were an empath, maybe.
no, I literally had no idea what was happening to me. I didn't question it. I just figured this was normal. So we're gonna fast forward to all these crazy things that have happened to me in my life, little stuff like that, to
Right.
I would say literally a year and a half ago, guys. Like I know everybody thinks like I've been in this for a long time. Well, my whole life I've been in the paranormal because I've grown up around it. I've experienced things that I can't explain, but actually realizing I was a psychic medium is a different story. So if anybody lives in Florida, there's this place called Casadega, Florida,
My
which is
wife
actually
from Tampa.
okay. So if you guys, okay, so it is a huge psychic mediumship camp. And it is basically like a camp, but it's more like a neighborhood where if you're a psychic medium, you have to like get in with their community. You have to prove that you do have abilities outside of divination tools. They actually don't allow you to use divination tools in their little community. And
Okay.
they live in these houses on the street and they offer like, psychic mediumship classes, Reiki classes. They have a really cool Casadega hotel that I stayed in, all this stuff. And I have this friend that studies ayahuasca and all that stuff. She really studies the Native American side of spirituality. She says, "Hey, there's this place called Casadega, Florida. Do you want to go with me?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, I do. Of course. Like tarot, creepy stuff. Yes, let's go." And I was like, "Let's do it." So she goes, "I want to sign up for a psychic mediumship class. How do you feel about that?" I said, "I mean, I don't know if I'd be any good, but okay. And then, we're all laughing now, but it's like back then I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And she goes, no, we should. And so Reiki, which I was already a Reiki master by 15. So I already did some energy healing work at the time, so that I was pretty familiar with that. So we get there, we sign into the creepy haunted hotel. It is very haunted. Something was staring at us that night. I could feel it. But we went into the psychic mediumship class, and we had one medium, and she sat in the front of the room, and there was a bunch of us around in seats. I think there was 11 of us. Some were new, some were regulars. And we were sitting there, and I had this book in my hand. This is the Book of the Dead. I like write everything I get from the dead in here. And I actually think I have, so I have my original thing that I had wrote from some of the students. So I'll read it to you guys, which is kind of cool. But I was sitting there with my friend Katie, and I reached over and I said, Katie, there's somebody in the room with us. And I remember the psychic medium lady looked over when I said that. I said, something's in here with us. And when we said that, the light turned off in the room. And my friend looks over and she goes, how did you know something was in here? I said, I could feel it behind me. And she's like, that's so weird. And I was like, that's weird for me too, because I'm just like, something's like telling me they're behind me, and then the light turns off. And everybody's just like so calm and collected. My friend and I are like, the light just turned off. Why is everybody acting so calm? So she splits us up into two different sections. We have to work on the psychic part, which is, if anybody doesn't know what a psychic is, it's basically what's happening here and now in present life. And mediumship is speaking with the other side, seeing the other side, communicating with the other side. Right. Everybody has abilities to be a psychic. You can hone in on those psychic abilities and grow them. Now, does that mean that you're going to end up with a psychic ability? No, it's just everybody does have them to a certain extent, and you can grow those. A medium, you're born a medium. You can't practice to be one and continue. So it's one or the other.
Right.
So we practiced our psychic. I was hitting things here and there, but I wasn't like the best at it. So I was like, maybe I'm not like good at this, And then it was the portion of the mediumship. She goes, I know that not everybody can do the mediumship portion, but we really need you guys to try to see, because the only way you're going to know is try. And I'm literally telling my friend, I was like, I've never done this before. Like, this is so crazy. Like, she's really just going to throw us in like this? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, I don't think I can do this. Well, I sat down with two people. I sat down with a girl that was like 10, 12, and I wrote male, younger, and then I wrote male, older. So I was picking up on two, and I said blonde, classic cars. I saw sudden death, car crash, drugs/alcohol. They missed their family. I saw the color green and football, and I saw police, one-time motorcycles, fishing, and beer. I wasn't sure what that was about. And then I heard the nicknames, my peach, my bear, my cutie, something along the lines of those names. I heard teachers, lesson learned, coach, something along the lines. And I said, I saw blood and watches. So I was explaining to her, I said, this is what I picked up. I said, but when I picked up the watch, I saw somebody doing this. And she goes, stop it right now. She goes, my uncle died, and he was obsessed with watches, and he would always flip his wrist this. And she's like, that's insane. But every single thing I picked up on. So I guess what had happened, her dad and her uncle both died in an accident. And both of them were very bloody and very bad, but I was picking up on both of them. I picked up on the color of the football team that he was obsessed with, the Green Bay Packers. I picked up, that he was a police officer. I was picking up on all these things. And then I had another person too that I picked up on, different stuff like whatever. But I ended up walking out of there with my friend. I said, I don't know how I did that. I still have no idea how they did that. She goes, that's crazy that you read them like perfectly. And I was like, I don't know. So we spent the rest of the time in, the weekend in this place, Casadega, Florida camp. And I felt so at home and so comfortable that psychic and mediums kind of walk around all the time. You just kind of pass them, because you guys have been there, right? Have you been there before, or has any of you guys actually been?
I've been through. I've never actually been to that specific area, but I've been through there before.
And what area was that again?
Casadega, Florida.
What about you, Jen?
So, what? Have you been there, Jen?
No, I think I've heard of it, but vaguely, but not enough to know about it.
So the hotel is the center point in the city. Like, it's basically like the point in the middle of the town. And everybody goes there for like lunch, dinner. It's just like the hangout spot. You've got your metaphysical shops in there. So when my friend and I are sitting there, a lot of psychic mediums, a few would stop and they would like say something to me. They'd be like, I get a feeling with you. And I'm just like, excuse me. And I thought this was like a ruse for them to like get me to pay for stuff. They're like, you can see the dead, can't you? And I just literally look at them and I was like, I think so. Because yesterday I did this. They're just like, there's something special about you. They're like, hold on to that. And they would say like these weird things about my friend and I walking by. And I was just like, that's weird. I don't know what that's all about. So I ended up going to see a palm reader. He does palm, tarot, and mediumship type of stuff. And he read me to a T. And I remember taping this. I actually probably should bring out the tape and bring it on my podcast and kind of let you guys listen to what he said.
Yeah.
But he basically said, he goes, you're a psychic medium. And I was just like, why does everybody know this but me? Like, I really said that to him. I was like, I am so unaware of this. He goes, you are going to teach people and you are going to help people. He goes, not right now, but later on in your life, you're going to help people learn their abilities. You're going to do things to help them. And I'm just like, interesting. He's like, have you ever thought about starting a business doing that? And I'm like, no. He's like, what do you do now? I was like, marketing. He's just like, I don't see that happening for you. He goes, I see you being in the paranormal side of life. And I was like, really? I'm going to be cool? Like, okay. I was like, this is neat. So I took what he said. There was more personal things that he said that I knew he was real. So took with what he said and put it on the side. Didn't tell my friend what he said. And we're driving home, me and my friend. And she goes, I think it's really interesting how you picked up on that girl's family and the other guy's family. She goes, have you ever thought about starting your own business? She just said that on her own. And I said, no. I said, I don't think people would come to me. I don't think people would pay me to help them. I really didn't think anything of it. She goes, you never know unless you try. And I'm just like, okay. So a month later, I got with somebody to help me build my logo. And I actually dreamt about my logo. And I asked the guy to make it, just do whatever he wants, whatever he sees. And he came back with the same exact logo I saw. I said, that's my logo. I'm going to do it. And Lunar Paranormal was born August of 2021, last year. So I am like about 6 months now into that, started doing, tarot work, mediumship work, psychic work, podcast, YouTube channel, like ghost hunting, all this stuff. So it's a long story, but if you guys want to know the full, more detailed story, you can go to my podcast and listen to it. But
so you're pretty much knee deep in the field of everything now that you're like the rest of us, knee deep and can't get out. You were invited to the party and now you never left.
Right. And I think Casadega, Florida is what, helped. I was birthed in the middle of Casadega, Florida, basically.
That was your focal point.
Yeah. That was the turning point because I had already went through my spiritual awakening about 6 months before then. And it was very painful, and I knew there was something different when I was always having panic attacks and psychic attacks. I didn't know what was wrong with me. I wasn't having panic attacks. The dead were talking to me. And I just didn't know, I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't know how to cope with it. I was picking up their emotions and their feelings, and I was seeing all these things and this terror and this death. And I thought it was just me having panic attacks. But now
Jennifer, sorry to interrupt you, but Jen
you're okay.
had a question. The look on your face. Go ahead, ask.
I get a lot of panic attacks, and so does my daughter. They get really bad to where I can't breathe. Like large crowds. One in particular was when we were in Arizona, and it took me 45 minutes to come back down because I literally had to shove my head. I was bent over and put my head between my knees. Panic attacks are a common occurrence with me.
So is it an actual panic attack for her, or is it, like you said, something like you're talking to the dead or the dead are talking to you? How does that work?
So when she's talking, I heard a few words. I heard the word witches and I heard fire. Something with fire. I don't know if fire is a very distinct thing for you. Something happened around that time in your life.
That's funny that I did not tell you anything about her other than she is the way you are, the same aspect. And that's funny because she's a fire phobe.
I have, and I'm getting goosebumps. I have an unrealistic fear of fire. I can be around a campfire. I can be around a lighter. I can light my incense. But the minute I smell burning, I will freak out. My heart will accelerate. I will shake. I will literally freak out for no God-given reason.
This is part of your past life. There's something that happened to you in your past life. You were burned at the stake as a witch, basically, is what they're telling me.
That's what I've been wondering.
I feel this is like your third rebirth on this earth.
We
Your
thought
grandma
so too.
is very significant in all of this. I feel like your grandma holds the genetic for all of this that's happening. Now, you do have psychic abilities, whether mediumship, I'm not 100% sure, but they do show me, particularly apportation. Do you know what apportation is?
No.
So this would be objects moving around you, things like that. So I don't know how much of like paranormal has existed in your life, but they show me there's always a lot of objects that move around you. There's always weird things,
Yes.
like doors
Weird
opening,
things
closing. There's a lot of stuff. Interesting. So there's a spirit. They show me a spirit standing at the end of your bed. And I don't know if this is something from childhood or whatever it is, but it just shows me it's just staring at you while you sleep at night. And I think you know that something's at the end of the bed.
She does.
And this is like, it's very disturbing, actually.
Yep. See, now I've not
gotten
told
so
you anything
used
about
to
her.
it
Yeah.
that it doesn't bother me. I
Mhm.
watched literally one of my bags move across my floor the other night. It like blew up and then deflated. It doesn't bother me because I've dealt with it for so long. I've been dealing with this stuff as far as I can remember, as it started when I was 5.
Yeah. This is genetic. This is all, you have witch blood in you, and this is not going to leave. So I think you do need to start, if you don't, start studying witchcraft as far as like little things in the day to help you, whether it's a little bit of cinnamon in your coffee every morning with intention, whether it's just making sure that you're continually cleansing yourself with Florida water, maybe carrying crystals with you, start studying the moon cycles, things like that. I really think that would help you. It's in your blood. You can't run from it. So the reason you're afraid of fire is because you died by fire.
I mean, it's insane. My neighbor watched one time when my smoke detector went off and she literally flipped. She said, I have never seen anybody in my life so scared. She goes, I literally watched you go through all of them. You're shaking, your voice, like she goes, your skin even paled.
Her and I have had this fire conversation many, many times. We've been together since '96, right? So we know each other very well. And
that's what I have wondered.
This witch doing, again, for the ones that are watching right now, I have not told Lizzie anything about my wife, who is Jennifer on the lower right. And just within the last 10 minutes or so that we've been on the show, she has hit everything right on the nail of the head. So that just verifies the conversations that Jennifer and I have had in the past.
So I'm gonna go into something a little personal about your parents, and asking you about their belief system with this. Is this okay? Is this a question that is okay for me to go into with you?
It's okay.
Okay. So somebody in the family doesn't believe, or maybe told you directly to your face, or maybe said something that made you feel like that what you're doing is wrong. And then spirit shows me that you might have been sent to therapy or went to therapy yourself to then cope with maybe what was wrong with you, and maybe thinking like there is something wrong with me, but there isn't. Does that make sense?
100%.
Growing up, I was told that the things that I could do, because like I said, the things that I've experienced aren't just in one specific area of the paranormal. They're scattered everywhere. I was told it was of the devil, that I was evil, that this was not natural, that it was just absolutely horrible. And I dealt with it for so long, and I had nobody to guide me. My grandmother's dead. Nobody spoke about anything in my family. The only thing that actually got me to come to is when my daughter started coming to me and stating things that happened to her that had happened to me in the past. And I finally said, you know what? No, my daughter's not going to grow up with the fear and the ridicule the way I felt growing up, because she can't wear watches either. She kills them.
We think that her daughter's the same way as she is. We think wholeheartedly that she is.
Talks to people. She's told them, she yells at them, tell them to go away, and you'll literally watch the door close. So I had to step up.
Your daughter is more powerful than you.
Yes.
I wrote grandma in the first part of this, and she's a huge part of it. I actually think that grandma is responsible for how powerful her granddaughter would be, your daughter. I don't know if there's a link between them. They're a lot alike, personality, whatever it is. I'm not sure that whatever it is that they share, grandma makes me feel that there's something a part of both of them that she shares significantly with her grandmother. That would be, but your daughter is powerful. Yes. I think your daughter is very psychic. I think that she has the ability to manifest things from energy. And I think this would probably be a good time to start to get her into Reiki, meditation, whatever it is, to start doing some energy work, because she needs to place that energy somewhere along with you, Jen, because you guys have so much psychic abilities and energies around you that you're not using them properly. The spirits know you have them, because if you think about it, you are a lighthouse with that bright light, and the ships are the ghosts. They see that bright light and say, ooh, she can see me, she can talk to me, she can feel me, let's go visit. But then you don't know how to handle that. You're not sure what to do, how things are, you just realize it's normal for you. So I would say, to really help you deal with this and cope with this, and maybe even grow into your psychic abilities, even if you might have mediumship abilities, I don't know about that, is to start maybe going to some psychic medium classes, maybe learn some tarot, some divination tools, maybe some Reiki energy work. Find something that would make you happy. Meditation is key. Meditation is the secret to any psychic medium. And I'm not a big meditation person. We'll tell you that.
Can we
I am.
pause real quick?
Yeah.
We got one of the viewers, Robert Suncat, another good friend of mine. He's asking, do you think the next generation after your daughter will be more powerful? What is your take on that, Lizzie?
I think it depends on the bloodline and where it's placed. So I think that her daughter might end up having children, and maybe 1 out of 4 of them might have an ability, and it could not be as strong. But then maybe her daughter might end up being just as strong. I think it really just depends on the bloodline and where it lands. My grandmother had it. My grandmother never used it because she was Catholic, and it's wrong. My mother has it. She's not as strong as me. She chose not to use it. But then I'm strong. So it's like, and then my sister has it, but she's not using it, and she's not as strong. I think it just depends on the bloodline where it's placed and its fate. I think really it's all down to fate. And the soul's purpose of these abilities get chose by a specific individual who can handle it.
Right.
And I know that sounds weird, because sometimes it might seem like we can't handle it, Jen. And it's like, this is too much. Like, I don't know why it was chosen for me, but in all reality, you can. That's the thing.
There's another child, Star Child or Indigo Child, maybe is his thinking.
So it's already predestined and predestined to who's going to have these abilities. It's God-given. So you never know. They could possibly be more powerful than Jen's daughter. You just don't know.
Sorry, we got bots in the chat.
Okay.
So does that explain why we like pop light bulbs and everything? Yeah. I've blown microwaves, fuse boxes, air conditioners in vehicles.
It is so weird how the collective works. And for the last month, and then yesterday, I've been working with somebody with something that's called psychokinesis, which is an ability like telekinesis. It's the same thing. And she's really strong with it and does the same thing. She can throw her voice into different places. She can do stuff. This is almost showing me signs of actual psychokinesis in you, which is like a PK. You guys can create poltergeists. Like usually children or teens that are adolescents are capable of creating a mass energy called a poltergeist that's basically based off of the hormonal energies, the negative energies around them, and they basically end up creating this spirit in their house that basically works off their energy. So when you scream, a knife might go flying past you.
Yeah.
When you get angry, a light bulb might shatter. So I feel like you and your daughter might have some psychokinesis or telekinesis abilities about you, which is so interesting why the collective keeps sending me you guys. I'm not really sure why. It's very interesting how I found so many of you in such a short amount of time. I would say for you, it would be best to meditate and find some sort of energy work you can put your psychic abilities into, because if you don't, you will keep shattering light bulbs. You will keep burning watches. You will keep ruining cell phones. It won't stop, because guess what? Your psychic energy has nowhere to go. And then all of a sudden your anger is going to get worse. Your energy is going to get worse. It's all just going to feed off of you and backfire.
Everything shocks me.
And that's why meditation is so important. It can teach you. You can learn how to control the energies of emotion to work for you instead of against you.
Every vehicle that we've ever
can't
had,
meditate.
every vehicle we've ever had, she's ruined the air conditioner in it. She can't wear watches. Dead. She can't be around a cell phone. Dead. She can't use my paranormal equipment. Dead. She can't touch my video cameras. She'll mess up the electronics in it. And it's always had that weird vibe around her like that. So that's
now
weird.
I have a question. Have you ever been able to manipulate a K2, like not actually touching it, but
Make the
change
light
the,
go to red.
Yeah.
No, not that I know of.
You should try it. See what happens.
But I can't meditate. I have tried.
So this is where, okay, meditation is hard for probably 99% of the people. It is so difficult. I hate it. I can't sit still, but you learn the best way to do it for yourself. So like I say, go find a class that is a psychic mediumship class that maybe you and your daughter can go to some bonding. Sometimes you can even get them over Zoom. I use this app called Meetup, METUP, Meetup, and you can literally find psychic medium development classes in the United States, and they might be in a different state, but they're all via Zoom. And this is where they'll start helping you start realizing where your psychic abilities lie. And you can tell them, I'm starting to show psychokinesis, telekinesis, and they can help place you in and stuff like that. I think Reiki would be really good for you because it's an energy work. I don't know if you know much about Reiki, but it's basically manipulating the energy and healing without physically touching. Because you burst light bulbs without touching them, basically your energy would heal people very easily. I think that would be a really good one for you. I also think maybe even tarot for your daughter would be interesting, maybe because she's younger. The Reiki might not be interesting to her. You know, maybe the cards might be neat for her, but this is a way for her to use her psychic abilities and put them out in front of her. And she's using this energy to something, whether it's every day, whatever it is. But I think this would be a really good idea. Spirit makes me feel like if you do this, your abilities will start becoming more under control. You will be able to wear watches. You will be able to use cell phones without breaking them and bursting your ACs and things like that.
Oracle cards. Robert's given some ideas for Oracle cards as well.
Yep, Oracle cards. They're all kind of the same concept, just different, just different themes.
On the classes, how do you weed them out? Because there are so many.
Right.
How do you weed out the fakes?
True. Anyone that charges you for a meetup, I mean, some people might charge you $10 door cover if it's in thing, but for me, it was free to go to those classes. So I would look for ones that are free and feel it out. If you're not sure, you have me. I can always help you with that. You know, obviously, Dustin and I talk to each other frequently on Discord, and I can help you. I can help you find classes. You know, I wouldn't mind taking you and your daughter on. You know, like I said, telekinesis is very new to me, and I'm starting to study it for another one of my friends who is showing signs of it. So this might be interesting. So I might just want to start a class with the three of you. And maybe do some weekly sessions and see if I can help with that. Now, I do know one of my friends, Janine, she will be starting a tarot class in February via Zoom, and she is amazing. I went to a psychic mediumship class with her. We both grew our abilities together, and I do know she is the real deal. So if that's something your daughter would be interested in, I do know someone that could help her in February start classes. But myself, I could, if you wanted to, on top of your psychic classes, maybe help you with it. I mean, Pi knows me very well. I've helped Taylor, you know, I've helped a lot of people really push their psychic abilities one way or the other. So I would have no issue.
Lizzie is great about that. And the only thing that I would say too is if you're wanting to get to try the meditation, I would highly recommend doing the guided meditation. I've done it. I've helped people out with guided meditation. I help, again, Lizzie, some of Lizzie's friends, some of my friends, mutuals with guided meditation. I've been doing it for about 10 years now. If you'd like the help with it, I can definitely help you out with that. I don't charge it at all. So
yeah.
Okay.
That's good. That's one reason why I wanted to bring her on tonight's show again, because I had you on here, Lizzie. So excuse me. Let's take a quick hiatus from what we're talking about and tell us a little bit about the paranormal side of what got you into investigating. Why did you decide to become an investigator?
Even though I grew up in haunted houses and saw crazy things, and obviously ghosts were my friends growing up, it was normal for me. But once my dad passed, I kind of made it like, I don't know, like a mission to learn where he was. Where is my dad now? My dad was my best friend. I wanted to know where is he? I never understood that side of it. And I read a lot of books when I was young. I just started studying a lot of things. And, as much as my psychic mediumship ability helps, my passion is actually with the paranormal side on the sense of ghost hunting, the paranormal investigator. So for me, a paranormal investigator is different than a ghost hunter. So a paranormal investigator is somebody who actually investigates where they're at. They try to investigate all evidence, and they're not going directly towards it's always haunted. Like, we try to figure out basically what's real and what's not real. Ghost hunters are just people that just straight go out and just try to find a ghost, and that's
try
basically
to figure out
it.
the who, what, when, why, and where.
Right. So for me, that was my passion. I liked when things went bump in the night. I still do. The fact that things stand next to me, I just think that the evidence is so cool. Watching the TV shows, like, all these things are just so neat that I just wanted to be a part of it. And one of my really good friends, Brett from Breakpoint Paranormal, I reached out to him via TikTok when I first started, and I knew he was in the Northwest like me, and I said, hey, if you guys ever go on a hunt, let me know. I'd be kind of cool to tag along. I knew he thought I was crazy at first, because he's just like, everyone says this, like, I'm with a group, but I'll let you know. Like, it was just kind of like, I'm not sure who this girl is, but he did go with me for the first time to a cemetery at the dark. He was just like, he's like, I'm just going to throw you in and just see how you do. And honestly, it was great. It was awesome. I loved it. He helped me with a lot of things, teaching me how to use different, machines and things like that we use, which I already kind of knew most of them from watching all the TV shows. But I'm just saying, TV shows are different than real life. He kind of taught me some things that I needed to look out for. And then he invited me to a place called St. Ignatius Hospital, St. Ignatius Hospital. It's up in Colfax, Washington. It's pretty creepy. I guess Ghost Adventures have been on there multiple times. And he asked me if I would want to go up there. And I'm like, yeah. It was my first ever real investigation in this creepy ass hospital that was abandoned. And I loved it. I loved every single part of it. I wasn't jumpy. I wasn't scared. It was a lot of fun. And so from then on, I've just been hooked, and I just can't stop. I just think that to me is more interesting than mediumship. I know that's weird.
Yeah. Once you get into the paranormal, for me, and I tell everybody, it's not really filming or even the investigating paranormal. What I'm addicted to is the adrenaline.
Mm-hmm.
It's the adrenaline.
If you stop doing it for a while, you start getting that itch, and you're like, I gotta go on an investigation.
The para itch is what I call it. Yeah.
And then for me, being a psychic medium, if you don't use your abilities, it starts attacking you. Like, you start getting panic attacks. You really need to start using them. I would say you need to connect with spirit at least once a week, or you're going to go nuts. So being a paranormal investigator and doing that, I get the best of both worlds. I get, my fix of talking to the dead, and I get to look at cool evidence and things like that.
So when you go into a place somewhere new that you've never been before, what is how do you feel on initial entry to, like, what is the first thing you do? Because you are a medium and you are an investigator. How do you tie those two together when you're on location?
So everyone knows that goes on investigations with me, do not tell me anything about the place. Obviously, if it's super famous, you can't help it. We all know about it. I've seen a lot of episodes of different ghost shows. Like, it's hard to, but I always tell them I don't want to know anything prior. All I want to know is just my book and my journal, and I just want to go in and see what I feel. Brett warned me before I went to St. Ignatius Hotel to be prepared to be overwhelmed. And he was right. There were hundreds, if not thousands, of spirits when I entered. I wasn't completely open, and I didn't allow myself to be completely open for protection purposes of that many spirits. But I mean, I would say within the first few minutes of being in there, I already smelled roses. And I didn't know anything about any of the spirits. And I guess there's a spirit named Rose, and her scent is roses. And I picked up on her like right away, and the name and all that. So it's interesting. You have to be careful, because it almost feels like imagine like 100 voices going through your head at one time, and it just sounds like chatter. You guys have ever seen Bruce Almighty with Jim Carrey, and instead of having the voices in his head, he throws them to the email? That's what it sounds like for me. And there's a lot of chatter going on up there, and it's a lot. You kind of have to tune it out and figure out who really needs help and where to go. So, I mean, for me, you just have to stay closed until you're ready to open. It's a lot. It can be very overwhelming, especially if the place is known for abuse and harming people, maybe even children. I feel children come through so easy for me.
So we've got a question from one of the viewers for you, Lizzie. Have you ever encountered a supernatural creature not demonic or human type?
Yes. They're called elementals. They're very strange looking. They're very different. So the Fae would be included in that, which would be fairies. You've got trolls. You've got the tree people. Like for me, the craziest thing I ever saw was a tree spirit, basically an elemental, and it was about 25 feet tall, and it really didn't have a face. And its arm looked like a branch, but it's like its arm branched off here and branched off there, and it had like different things, and they look very scary and very creepy. And the fact that he was able to bend over like by the waist, and like his face was in front of your face, it's like they protect the forest. And elementals typically don't do anything. They don't harm you, but they look very scary. So I have seen a lot of tree people, is what I like to call them. That's probably the craziest creature I've seen.
Do you guys hear the whispering on your?
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
Mm-hmm.
Is that coming from me?
I couldn't hear what.
Did you hear that? I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I've heard it 3 times now.
I think I heard a whisper. Is that
I can't tell who it's coming from.
It said why.
There it is again.
I've got a fan on in the room.
No, it's literal speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's going to stop that we noticed it.
Yeah, I heard it.
We're all in investigative mode now. People are watching.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Okay, let's continue on with the show. Sometimes that happens.
Nothing like having an EVP.
It might
Nothing
be
like having an
open.
EVP coming over the air.
And
So
I've had that happen before.
You hear all the voices. Do you ever hear the high frequencies?
Sometimes I'll get it right in my ear, and it's just like ringing really loud, and I'll be like, oh no, stop. And then it'll get lower, and I'm just like, God, what the hell was that? It drives me nuts. I hate it when it happens. I don't like it. I always tell my spirit guides to please stop when that happens.
Like, make it stop right before you said
It's
stop.
kind of like an electrical like screech,
Mm-hmm.
or just a high frequency.
I'm hearing whispering all over the place, but through my ear set right now. Did you hear
I heard that, right?
Y'all heard that shit, right?
I have nothing else going on in here. I've got
None of
YouTube
y'all
on my
have
phone, but
anything
it's turned
going on.
off.
My phone's on silent.
Let's do an investigation live. Why not? Shit.
I'm haunted.
Man, okay.
Hey, I live behind a cemetery.
See, my one of my viewers heard it too, Robert. What is going on right now?
Bro, we're gonna have to rewind this live and like run it through something so
Do you
we
have a
can hear what
spirit
it's
box?
saying.
Do you have a spirit
He
box
does.
near you?
No. I mean, I have the portal, but it's turned off.
It's still talking. What's it saying?
His device is turned off right now, though.
I was just gonna say, turn it on. See what happens.
Like I said, I have a cemetery in my backyard.
Sorry, I have a bot. Okay, that's really freaking weird, man.
You want to turn the box on and see if we can get anything come through?
After the show, we can hang out for a minute after the show.
That'd be cool. I mean, I hear it.
What the hell?
Can you understand what it's saying or no?
It's so faint.
Very faint, but it's there. Very faint.
Weird.
Have you ever had that happen on one of your shows before?
Yeah. I actually had somebody catch in one of my tarot reads before a voice come through as I was connecting with somebody's fiance, and her voice was coming through. When I open myself up, I'm basically saying it's okay to come through. So it could be that your headset's picking up on the specific frequency and you're hearing them.
Yeah, because I was actually on live today, and I do a lot of study and research into infrasound. And I was doing that today at home with my portal, because the way my mind starts thinking when I built the portal, right? I always run my SP7 or my SP11 in reverse mode at 250. It's always in reverse no matter what. And I figured, I was sitting here today doing nothing, and I'm like, you know what? I wonder what I could do with infrasound. Find the lowest decibel infrasound, play it through a YouTube channel or something like that, and run the spirit box at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a lot of responses on the spirit box today.
So cool. So cool. Is it still happening? Because I can feel it. I can feel something.
Yeah, it's definitely coming through on your side.
I think it's a male, for sure.
Like a male, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
Weird. My spirit just told me growling. I don't know why. So I don't know if you hear a growling noise, but if you do, let me know, because they just told me growling.
I can't tell if it's a growling that's coming over, but it sounds like it's in reverb.
Yeah, a little bit. It's got a little bit of white noise in there, but you really can't make out what the words are, but it's definitely there.
Yeah. So the craziest thing happened to me. I can't even explain. So yesterday, so I have an Alexa show. You guys know it's the one with the face on it, Alexa with the screen. And I was on the phone with one of my friends, and I'm walking up the stairs, and all of a sudden music starts playing. And I was just like, "Do you hear that?" He's like, "Yeah, that's music. What is that?" And I walk down the stairs. I'm literally looking. It's not connected to my phone. It's connected to my sister's phone. That's my sister's Alexa. I have a small one up here. So I'm like, what the hell? That never happens in my house, because I've got wards and guards up in my home that I don't investigate my home. I don't do any of that stuff, because
rule of thumb, you never investigate your own house unless it's an absolute dire emergency.
So typically I don't see weird paranormal stuff happening in my home, just usually when I'm sleeping or when I talk to when other people's loved ones. And I was just like, I wonder what song's playing. And I look up, and the song is called I See You.
That just gave me chills.
ISEYOU. And I'm like, you've got to be fucking kidding me right now. What? Out of all the songs it decides to play. So I text my sister, "You're fucking with me, right? Please tell me you are." And she goes, "What are you talking about?" She calls me. She goes, "I'm in the hospital. I can't play music right now, because she works for the hospital." Right. She goes, "I have really bad service." And I could hear her going in and out. And I'm like, what is happening? So I pull out my EVP, and I'm trying to do an EVP session. I said, "Who is in here with me right now?" Nothing came through. I put my digital recorder right on the Alexa. Nothing happened. I'm like, so last night, literally went to bed thinking about that. I'm like, what is seeing me? Because as a psychic medium, you think I'd be able to pick it up. I swear to you guys, I couldn't pick up anything in the house, but the odds of what that song was called, I can't. That's so creepy. I literally can't. I will pull up the picture and show you guys, because I took a picture of it, and I'm like, oh no, no way. No way.
Yeah, so no, when you said that gave me chills. Ooh.
Nice.
That's what was playing. And it was playing already halfway through. And I'm like,
a friend of mine, actually, the owner and lead investigator of Midnight Paranormal Society, a friend of mine out of San Antonio, Robert's a team member of them. And he showed me and taught me about a method called the telephone method. It's where you grab two cell phones, working cell phones with plan and everything. You call one cell phone. The cell phone that you called, you leave it in the building. Okay, right? And then you have everybody leave the building, and you take this cell phone and you ask questions via the cell phone. And like we're hearing now, they'll respond through the cell phone.
That's so cool.
It was taught to me.
I want to try that now.
I've used it several times in the past because of those guys. So
you get good responses from it?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Y'all still hear me?
I would definitely want to try it. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I can hear you.
It's because everything of mine froze up.
You're good.
Yeah, see, we got some good evidence with it.
You can just use iPhones. You don't have to use old phones. You can just
use any kind of telephone that you want to.
That's crazy.
and you can talk them like you're talking on a walkie-talkie, but everybody has to be out of the building. You just leave that phone in there and you talk through the phone just like I'm talking to you right now.
That's crazy.
But with this going on, all the stuff we're hearing, that's what reminded me of that.
I've never done that before, but that's a neat thing. I also just recently saw on Kindred Spirits how they had 2 spirit boxes and did a spirit box session, and the 2 spirits were speaking to each other through like the Estes method. And it was really crazy to see that. I was like, I'm gonna have to do that one time in investigation just to see if me and somebody else can like do the Estes method and like see if the 2 spirits will actually be physically communicating with each other. It was pretty crazy to see that.
Another thing, because Jennifer lives like literally 5 feet away from the graveyard that we go to. If you guys have seen my lives on TikTok, that's the graveyard that's right by her house, like 5 feet away. And I've even thought about putting the infrasound through my speakers in my truck, and then going to the graveyard and playing the. I heard it again. Sorry, and then playing the portal at the same time. Wake the dead, man. Why not?
Why not? They're waking us all the time. Trust me. They are.
Eavesdrop on the conversation. Yeah, that's funny. Well, Robert thinks you're lucky to live next to a cemetery, Jen.
I live actually the church is right there. There's a church parking lot. The church is right here. We share a parking lot with the church.
Nice.
So being a psychic medium, that sucks.
I mean, you couldn't sleep. Do you have problems with trying to sleep anyways, or staying asleep?
You know, I actually sleep like a baby. I honestly get the best sleep because I've warded the house. I just, but sometimes you get a traveler that will sneak in every once in a while and be like, "What are you doing in here? Get out."
What are your preventative techniques to, like in Jennifer's case, for instance, because she lives so close and there's always activity at her house, always. What are your preventative ways to help you sleep at night, to close that shield down?
Gotcha. So I always tell people, all of my clients or anyone that I talk to, there is no way to get rid of spirits 100%. You're going to get them traveling in and out through your house. I call them travelers. Spirits are not going to see your house and walk around it. That just doesn't happen. They're going to go right through it, in and out. It's going to happen. It is. I've always explained that to people, like your house could never not be haunted or never have somebody in it. So what I do is I sage my home usually regularly. I smudge it. But there's ways of smudging and ways of not smudging, and a lot of people do it wrong. It's not just lighting up the sage and just going around your house. That's wrong. Right. Whenever you do anything spiritually, it's always with intention. Intention is the magic behind it. This is where your magic comes in. So what I mean by intention is when you're lighting it, make sure you always crack a window, because you've got to let the negative energy out somewhere. If you don't, it's just bouncing off of everything. So every single room should have a window open if it does. And you're basically going around the room. And I always tell people, like, hey, turn on the music that makes you the happiest, that makes you want to dance, that makes you feel good. Like, it doesn't always have to be so quiet and somber. You can have fun with it, be in a good mood. Always sage when you're in a good mood. Don't sage when you're scared. Don't sage when you're upset. Don't do that at that, because you're not in the right mindset. And I just always think of the happiest thoughts. As I'm saging, I always say only love is allowed in this room, only that of love. And I always say love because love is very specific. Things that work off of love are good. Nothing bad is going to work off of love. People say of love and light. I get the light part, but the evil still is in the light. They still lurk in the light. You know what I'm saying? So very specific. And I just go around and I take my time, and I'm always listening to my music. But then once I'm out the door, I always have salt in my pocket. I know that's weird, but I always have salt in my pocket, and I will walk out the door, and I will lay some salt down, not like supernatural style where it's like a crap ton of salt. You can just do a sprinkle. And I set the intention of nothing is allowed in, but I do a little bit more with the salt. I don't know if you guys want me to explain a little bit more of how the salt stuff works, or you just want me to be quick about this.
Can we go back to the question that Robert's asking? Any black dogs guarding or wandering the cemetery of either one of you, Jennifer or Liz? Have you ever seen this around there?
Are we talking about hellhounds?
I don't know. It's just a question that he had.
I have never really seen a dog in a cemetery for myself before. It doesn't mean that it might not happen. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I did when I was younger, but no time recently.
Mm-hmm. I really don't see dogs there. I mean, not at least not black ones. If you're talking about hellhounds, I haven't really picked up on one before. But you would know if you came across one.
Oh yeah, you would.
You would.
You would definitely know. But just wanted to get back to that real quick. So we only got a few minutes left before we have to end tonight's show. You can dive into a little bit of the salt situation if you'd like, because I use black salt, white salt, all the whole nine, all of it. For the ones that don't know, other than like the ones on the panel and maybe Robert, because he is Navajo, explain to the ones that don't know.
So salt is basically goes back to witchcraft, and they usually call it white witch. But for me, there's no such thing as white witch, black witch, green witch. It's all witchcraft in the sense, but they like to call it a white witch. It's basically just something that which is used as a guard, as a protection against things. You're setting a boundary. It's like an invisible wall that things can't come in because you're setting the magic of intention. For me, there's ways to rid spirits with salt. We won't get into that, but the best thing to do is after that, set a line at your front door. Say nothing's allowed to follow me in. You then step over it, close your door, you go upstairs. I always do a salt line around my bed and set the intentions of only my loved ones and spirit guides are allowed past this line, because I'm going to tell you guys something. Salt is way more effective than smudging. Salt will literally stop everything from coming in. So you have to be very specific as to what you want. So make sure, even like this, get behind your baseboards. People forget the baseboard thing, because guess what? Spirit still comes through windows and walls.
Robert's Apache. I thought he was Navajo. My apologies, Robert.
That's what I was going to ask about your windows. Do you salt your windows?
Yep, right on my windowsill, and I'll just do that each time. So, but if you need to rid spirits, there's a different way to use salt, but salt is a very effective way. I just get iodized salt by Morton, sea salt, just really good. I eat Himalayan sea salt, so salt is just really good. Everything you must set with intention. In the mornings, I always put cinnamon in my coffee. You can even do cinnamon in your shoes, but set intentions of what you're looking for throughout the day. What?
It makes it smell good anyway, your shoes.
It makes your feet smell delicious, like cinnamon rolls.
So what does the cinnamon do? I mean, I guess it works your way into the pores of the feet. I don't know what's the meaning behind that?
It's just basically a good luck charm in witchcraft. It's just basically a way of setting like good intentions throughout your day. It's a good way to start. Cinnamon is just a very pure spice to use. And then with the shoes, it's like a good luck thing. Before you leave your house, you're just setting that intention of like where I'm walking, where I go, good intentions. This is good, positive things. It's just setting that energy for yourself. So I have a crap.
I have cinnamon sticks.
Mm-hmm. Cinnamon sticks
I place them around my house.
You guys know those cinnamon rooms they have during Christmas that you can hang on your doors? There's a reason why it's doused in cinnamon. So why it smells like that. So it's just a good luck.
Pretty witch broom,
And they smell delicious too.
Yep, they do. They sell them in Hobby Lobby, I think, or something like that, don't they?
Yeah.
Yep, Hobby Lobby and Michael's.
The grocery store, you walk in, you smell them, you're like, oh, I smell it, smells so good.
Makes you hungry every single time.
Yeah, time to go get some turkey. I'm already hungry. Let's go to Taco Bell or something after this, right? So I appreciate you coming on tonight's show. Lizzie, it was great having you. We would like to have you back, of course, if you're up for it, or we could just go on your show and go from there back and forth.
I had so much fun.
And again, we thank the viewers for tuning in tonight, Darkest Hour podcast. We always try to have a good time on the show. And every Friday from 8 to 9 Central, if you know of anybody that would like to be a guest on the show, just have them give me a ring and we can set something up. Not just the paranormal, not just the metaphysical, but even if we had Robert Riggy the other day, last week, and that was a great show. He not only did he get to interview Ted Bundy, but we learned a lot from him. You guys missed a great show last week. He was face to face with Bundy. For 90 minutes, face to face with Bundy.
It was definitely an eye opener.
And things that the public didn't know, he knew, because it was, like I said, face to face. You never know who I'm going to have on the show. So just tune in every Friday from 8 Central to 9 Central. Again, Lizzie, we really, really appreciate your time tonight. Had a great time. But that's the end of the show, guys. And we're going to go ahead and cut it. And we'll see you guys next Friday from 8 Central to 9 Central, Darkest Hour podcast. We really appreciate you guys once again. Have a great weekend.
Bye.
Thank you for watching the Darkest Hour podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you want to see more, tune in every Friday at 8 p.m. Central, right here on